When Jimmy Lai was marched out of Apple Daily's offices, it marked the end of an era for Hong Kong. The billionaire newspaper owner had been a key figure in the umbrella movement, the protests for freedom and democracy against China's increasingly authoritarian control of the territory. It made him a celebrity, even meeting key American leaders. But it also made him a target. And after the passage of Hong Kong's controversial national security law, he was one of hundreds of activists arrested and charged with collusion with foreign powers. Now languishing in jail as his trial continues, his friends and allies have not given up the hope that one day Jimmy Lai might walk free.
Jimmy Lai is China's best-known political prisoner now. And I think what Jimmy exemplifies is the freedom that was the promise of Hong Kong, and Hong Kong is a British colony, and that's been destroyed by China. And I think that's a warning to Taiwan and to the rest of the world.
Bring us up to date with where Jimmy Lai is right now. What is happening to him?
Jimmy Lai has just passed 1,500 days in prison. He's been in solitary confinement most of that time. He's also on trial. It's the trial of his life. He's been sentenced on some minor charges, but now it's the big one, the national security law trial. He's almost certain to get a minimum of 10 years. He could get life. He's already 77 years old and in poor health, so a 10-year sentence really would be tantamount to a life in prison for him, unless we can get a political deal to get him out.
And the charges that he faces then are some of the most serious you could possibly face.
Collusion with foreign powers. What does that mean? It means that he met Western officials. It means that he asked for sanctions against Hong Kong officials who violated human rights. It's also important to remember he's a British citizen. He's been a full British citizen since 1992. He's never had a Chinese passport, and yet the UK government hasn't even managed to meet him in a consular facility in the last couple of years.
Chloe, can you tell me your story? Like, how are you sitting here and not in Hong Kong, presumably where you want to be?
In 2019, a pro-democracy movement broke out because the Hong Kong government was trying to push an extradition bill with China. I was 14 years old at that time. I was not interested in politics at all. As a Hong Konger who grew up in Hong Kong, who loved Hong Kong, it's time for us to step out on the street to go to protest against the bill. And at that time, which is my first time to be in the protest. Also, it's my first time to try tear gas, and I also witnessed a policeman who stepped on a protester's neck, which is like shocking for me when I was 14. And in 2020, the national security law has passed. I think it's unsafe to stay in Hong Kong, and I discussed with my family. We all agreed to move to the UK since then.
There is a bounty on your head, right?
Yes, so there is about a 1 million Hong Kong dollar bounty on my head from the Hong Kong government under the national security law. So
they want you back and they want to throw you in jail alongside Jimmy Lai?
Yeah, so I think I did not commit a single crime. What I basically do is talk to journalists, talk to politicians, and they say that it's colluding with foreign forces, it's collusion. And if anyone give my information or kidnap me to the embassy or consulate, they could get 1 million Hong Kong dollar as a reward.
And now you live here in the UK. Do you feel safe here from the reaches of the Hong Kong and the Chinese authorities, or do you think they're watching you here too?
I don't think I am safe here in the UK. Basically, there are lots of examples of transnational repression. We saw there are Hong Kongers beaten up in Southampton during the protests, and we saw that the UK government is not willing to do a lot to protect us. 3 weeks after we got the bounty, Rachel Reeves visited China, and she secured a deal with China with a little amount of money, but she did not do anything to protect us.
Yeah, we hear from the British government, don't we? When they go to China, they bring up human rights issues, they bring up the case of Jimmy Lai. I wonder, though, if you think, Mark, that Rachel Reeves going to China, Trump reversing the ban on TikTok, for example, and the huge Chinese interest in that company, whether you're seeing a softening of stance towards China?
It comes and goes. We have seen President Trump promise that he would get Jimmy Lai out of jail. He promised that on the campaign trail.
Do you think you could speak to Xi when you're back in the presidency about getting Jimmy Lai out and out of the country?
100% yes.
He's a very transactionally oriented president, so, I mean, a lot will depend on larger Sino-U.S. relations. But I have to say, turning closer to home, we've been disappointed that the successive UK governments have failed to even meet Jimmy Lai in a consular or a political capacity. It has to be more than an afterthought. We'd love to see more pressure. We're delighted to see that Prime Minister Keir Starmer brought up the case of Jimmy Lai when he met Xi Jinping.
We are concerned by reports of Jimmy Lai's deterioration health in prison.
And Chloe, do you think you'll ever return to Hong Kong?
Unless a free Hong Kong is happening, or unless Hong Kong has the rule of law back, I think I might never be able to go back to Hong Kong.
Never?
Never.
But you dream of it?
Of course. I love Hong Kong. I born there. I grew up there. I love the people there. And we fight so hard for democracy, for freedom. And even I am not in Hong Kong anymore, I still keep fighting for Hong Kong because there's my home place.
Mark Clifford, Chloe Cheung, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kieran.